Good evening, New Mexico. Could this federal shutdown also shut down justice in our state? At least 2 high-profile murder cases could be in jeopardy as the standoff in D.C. continues.
Yeah, lawyers for the man accused of killing an Uber driver and the suspect accused of shooting and killing a man outside a Santa Fe Best Buy say their cases have to be put on hold. Their argument: with the federal government shutdown, there is no funding to give the suspects a fair defense.
Let's get to Zach Rael, who's been looking into how all of this is connected. Because, Zach, the crux of this problem isn't necessarily new. We always hear about funding shortfalls. But how does the shutdown play a role?
Tessa, Trevor, essentially, if Congress won't approve spending, federal cases don't get money to move forward. Federal defense lawyers say that funding has always been a concern, but this starts to get into constitutional rights territory, and justice could be in the crosshairs.
We're talking about the constitutional right to a defense. Everybody who gets charged by the government has a right to defense.
But lawyers for 2 New Mexico murder suspects say that right is at risk because of the government shutdown. Shelakai Sanchez is the man accused of hand-selecting, shooting, and killing an innocent Albuquerque Uber driver, Joseph Andrus, this summer. Zachary Babbitts is the suspect federal prosecutors say shot and killed Gordon Wilson outside of the Santa Fe Best Buy in 2024. Federal prosecutors say they are seeking the death penalty in both cases.
With the government shutdown, attorneys aren't being paid, those who do indigent defense, including death penalty work, capital work.
Both men's lawyers filed separate motions in federal court saying there is no funding for their legal teams to mount a meaningful defense. Attorney Ryan Villa is the Criminal Justice Act representative for New Mexico.
There's no going back once the penalty has been carried out. And so it requires much more care, much more reliability to make sure that the evidence is correct.
Villa says the impacts are vast, from investigators, paralegals, and specialists not being paid to suspects and victims' families having to wait for their day in court.
Whether we agree with their policy decisions or not on, health care or food stamps or foreign aid, they can't make a decision in this context like that. They have to fund the defense, so there's really no excuse for them not to.
And I did hear from the mother of Joseph Andrus, the Uber driver Sanchez is accused of killing. In a statement, she said, quote, "Every delay that may happen along the way is another day that my children and I will not be able to begin to heal. Every day between now and the end of the legal process is another day that I cry myself to sleep. I hope all the lawmakers in Washington, D.C. understand the magnitude of this shutdown." Now, the motions to the delay in both of these cases have not yet been ruled on. Tessa, Trevor?